Hello, it's Lou Collins. Today I've got a really fun template for you for Craft World. This one comes from Papercraft Essentials, issue 214. It's actually some bookends. Now I'm going to create one, but you can print off the template and create a couple of these to fit either sides of the book. But essentially you've got the template, you've got the beautiful examples in the magazine if you did get that issue, and I'm going to show you how to go from the template to the finished article, so putting it together. Now what I've already done is gone ahead and prepared a lot of this, as in cut the pieces out and scored them, because that takes a little while. There's actually 5 sheets for you to print off with this template. So the essentials you are going to need is this one here. So this is the main body of your bookend. This is going to be the base. Now this bit at the bottom, I would suggest you only really need to do that bit if you need to strengthen your cardstock. If you're using, like myself, say a 300 GSM cardstock, you don't really need to do these, but you'll need 4 of those if you do need to strengthen your base just a little. Then we've got the drawer. Now this is, again, this is an optional piece, but definitely well worth having, really pretty. Then we've got, let's just skip that bit, then we've got the drawer wrap, which of course if you're putting the drawer in, you do need the drawer wrap. You can leave the drawer and the drawer wrap out, but I'll show you more of that in a moment. And then the decorative layers, again, these ones are optional, so these are just decorative layers for the base there and also for the slanted sides. Everything else is really simple, quick and easy for you to mat and layer. So I left out most of the decorative layers, and I've got here the main pieces, so the bookend, the base, the drawer and the drawer wrap. Now I've used a navy coloured cardstock. I've cut round each piece and I've scored each piece already. The score lines are the dotted lines. So because I've already done that, what I can do now is remove my template, and if I was doing 2, I would now be creating another one with that template before I go ahead and do this. Now it's very, very easy to fold and glue all these pieces. It's actually quite self-explanatory really. Everything's going to be on this one valley folds, and you're just going to bring up this tab here to meet the bottom of the triangle, and that's going to create that book shape for you. Hopefully you can see that okay. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue along here. Doesn't matter if you're using a hot glue, if you're using a red liner tape, or like me, a wet glue. I find for something construction, I really like to use wet glue if I've got the time to hold it to dry properly, because yeah, it just seems stronger in the long run. With red line tape, it does grab very quickly and it's quite strong, but over time, especially if there's any sort of heat fluctuations within the room, you are going to find that red liner tape, any sort of double-sided tape, can sometimes peel away. So there we go, I've just glued there. So there really is the base for your bookends, already started. Now we need to do the base. So this is, sorry, this is the main piece. This is the base. I knew what I meant by base. So let's just pop that to the side, and this one again. We've got all our score lines here. So what we're going to do is we're going to mountain fold around the square, and then we're also going to mountain fold each of the tabs as well. It's a good idea to just do this with your score lines in place, just in case you've missed any score lines. You don't have to reattach your template and try to find where they would be. Now this is a little harder to get off in one piece if you want to reuse it. It is absolutely possible, but you do need to take it very carefully. So there we go. Once you've got it, you should be good. Let's peel it gently because I want to make another later on. I want to make another one of these. So I've got a matching pair of bookends. That's actually a really lovely frame shape as well. So just bending these pieces down, and then what you'll find is you've got the little tabs, and you can just glue each tab to a leg as such. So just like so, just squaring that off, remove any excess glue and pinch that just for a few moments so that you can ensure that you get a really good grip on the glue while it dries. So go around and work on each of the 4 corners of this. Once each of your 4 corners are dried, you'll find you've got a really nice sturdy base. So now we can adhere the first piece that we did onto the base here. So just gluing all across here. You'll notice it's a square shape, so it doesn't matter which direction this base goes on to it. Just place it on there, making sure that all the sides are nice and level. There we go. Just pick it up and give that a pinch. You don't want to press too hard, of course. You don't want that to be pushing that down and breaking the base there. You shouldn't break it though. It's pretty steady. Like I say, if you're using a cardstock around about 300 GSM or more, you'll be absolutely fine. I would say anything less than that, probably a good idea to go in with another layer of those legs that I showed you. They're just here where it says cut 4 on the template, and just layer those over the top. So there we go, there's our base so far, looking very nice. Now we need to create the drawer. So we've got the drawer and we've got the drawer wrap. So just peel off that template. We're going to just mountain fold everything, all of these score lines around here, much as we just did with that base, in the same sort of way. And we're going to use these tabs, and we're just going to put glue onto each of the tabs and bring them in to create that drawer shape. It's a very simple drawer shape, probably something you've created before. So just bring those in, making sure these are definitely at a right angle, because you're going to be putting a drawer wrap around them. You don't want this to be any larger or end up any larger than your drawer wrap. So just take a moment to make sure these are nice and straight. If you need to pop them down onto a surface and check all the way around, it's a good idea. And as you can see there, I did do 2 ends at a time. Again, bring this down, just pressing one, press the other one in, just make sure that they're not overhanging the edge of the drawer at all. Nice and straight. Perfect. There we go. So there we have our drawer. And then lastly we need our drawer wrap. So I've done all the score lines. This is just going to simply be mountain folds all the way along. So this folds up into itself using the tab shape that we've got here, glue along here and glue it to the first panel. I've got the Sizzix Express glue, one of my favourites, because it does dry quite quickly. It tacks and it grips very quickly. So again, just being very careful to line that up, the edge of the cardstock up with the score line. Good way to get this even is to flatten it out, and if it lays flat like that, that will all be nice and even. There we go, and then you can put some decent pressure on it then as well. Okay, now what should happen is your drawer should then fit inside the drawer wrap. So just give this a wiggle, make sure that happens. Perfect. And then what you can do is you can add glue to the base of this and put that onto your book base there, your bookend there. But before we go to that stage, we want to just do a little bit of decorating. So I've just used the template to create a mat or a layout. Oops, not that one. That's for my other half for this one, and that will sit inside there. Nice blue design. So I've used the pattern paper as my guide. This is the Simply Made Crafts Bee Garden paper. I think that's still in stock at CraftStash, and it's got some lovely navy blues in it, which is why I've then bought in the navy blue for the base. I've also got here somewhere in amongst all my templates, I've got another piece that I've cut. This one's really easy to cut, and it's a good idea to cut this before you go ahead and construct your bookend, because it's a simple rectangle, so you've not been given the template for that. You don't really need that, but that glue's on there. So as you can see, these come right to the base, so we do need to glue these in now rather than after putting the drawer in. So just some wet glue on there. Put that flat down so I can press this down without bending it at all. There we go. Lovely, and then flip this over and do the same on this side. So these templates are available for you to download now. They are completely for free because they come in with the magazines. You can find thousands of templates for you to use. Just pop along to Craft World. If you look at downloadables, I believe they're all there. There we go. And what I've done with this one is I've made sure that the paper actually follows on the design, so it kind of almost wraps around. So now our drawer can sit inside there, and you can decide which way you'd like your bookend to be. So for me, this is going to be the flat side. It's going to be against the books. So I'm going to have this drawer this way so that the drawer front will be facing me. You could of course turn it around and have it this way. If you wanted the triangle to be against the books, you can flip it so that's at the front that way. It's entirely up to you. You can have it skew if you want to for a different design too. So just going to attach, I'm going to keep my drawer in there because what that does is helps keep that nice and straight and at a right angle. I'm just going to apply glue all over the bottom of this. Quite a good amount of glue. This is only going to help strengthen everything. And then push it right into that corner. Again, just popping that down so that I can press against the bottom. So underneath here, I'm just pressing against the bottom. There we go. And making sure that's glued down. You might get a little bit of glue, as you can see. Maybe there a little bit of glue just seeping out. That's fine. Lastly, I'm going to add myself something that's going to act as a drawer, or a drawer pull. So if I just pull my drawer out there, and just see that, I'm going to just attach this little metal butterfly, which is really pretty. I'm going to use hot glue for this because I want to make sure this really does stay on there very well. So just pop that onto the drawer, making sure that it's not coming down any lower than the base of the drawer. It can come a little bit higher up because the wings on this are lifted, so it can come a little higher up, and I'm just going to allow that to sit there just for a few moments and dry. So there we have our finished bookend from our templates that have been printed off from Craft World. You do have the option of creating 2 of these. Don't forget though, if you're going to create 2, you can keep the base and the drawer pieces exactly the same as they are for one side, but for the other side you do need to flip over this one and your triangles here, so you will need to rotate them. This one you can cut 2 of the same if you're using a coloured cardstock that's solid all the way through, not a patterned one. You just need to fold these mountains rather than valleys on one, and these ones you do need to flip over to get the correct size or shape rather, or orientation of your pattern paper. So there's my drawer, that stands up beautifully. The books will go across here, and then I've got my little pull out piece there with the butterfly, which is just really pretty. There's lots I can be putting in there. So I hope you have fun with this template. I'd love to see what you make with it and what designs you do over on Craft World in the Inspiration Gallery.